Our first mushroom experience. Ian told us, Swami Varunda has continued to develop this particular strain of psilocybe azarescens. That night was our night for deciding whether or not we wanted to experience a psilocybin trip. Sandy gave us our options. If you are continuing on a similar journey to Lord Andrew or Sir Malcolm, you would want to experience the full massive first dose that Swami Varunda has recommended. Rick has already begun his journey, so he has had several of these sessions prior to tonight. Tonight, Rick will support us in our journey and will not participate by ingesting the mushrooms. If you simply wish to experience magic mushrooms, then Swami Varunda can create a suitable dosage for you. I decided to take the full session to participate in the experience as much as possible without taking the final leap of faith. Cheesy and Sandy were on side with my decision, but Errol opted for a smaller dosage, as did Ian. Richard declined the experience completely but was content to sit by and watch us make fools of ourselves. Who knows, he might have been able to catch a little something for his bank of indiscretions. After dinner that evening, we were given a brief talk by Swami Varuna before he handed out our individual portions. We began to relax, play games and listen to music as we waited for the effects to take place. The night passed in a flash, and I remembered Marius and Marian were still feeling the effects of their journey when Cheesy and I decided it was time to freshen up and then hit the hay for a few hours. We had agreed to have a full day of sleep before discussing our experiences with the Jacks and others at dinner the next night. Sandy was already in dreamland, and according to Rick, Ian and Errol went to bed a couple of hours previously. Eventually we all arose from our slumber, but I don't think any yoga mats saw the sun that day, even Sandy's. We set about preparing for our evening dinner as people gradually made an appearance. When Cheesy and I saw Errol, I asked, "Why were you in the bathroom for so long last night?" Errol looked rather sheepish and said, "I was waiting for the mushrooms to take effect, so I decided to purge myself, but while I was sitting on the can, I looked up at the top shelf of the storage rack and some kind of owl was looking down at me. I froze. Accidentally I knocked the shelf and his eyes turned and looked right at me. I thought, this is India. This could be some kind of killer owl or something. So, I waited until I thought he was asleep and then I slipped my hand on the doorknob. Slowly I turned it. I flung it open and rolled out of the bathroom." Rick added from the balcony 2 rolls of toilet paper, and he screamed like a little girl with his trousers around his ankles. And everyone roared with laughter, recalling it in hindsight. Don't feel bad, Errol. I don't know how long I spent watching that gnome in the tree on the edge of the forest. You saw him, Marian. He was watching me all night. You saw him, I know you did. Marius said. Marian smirked and returned, "It was a monkey, you dumbass." Marius added, "Then why was he wearing Cheesy's hat?" Marian again smirked and said, "Because Cheesy left his hat on the balcony and the monkeys got it. You tried to phone the phone company on the gnome, but your phone had a hole in it. Remember? Then, you tried to call the phone company to complain about the hole in your phone." Cheesy added, "Pineapple on shrooms is the best thing you will ever put in your mouth. Too bad the pineapple had to die." We put the food on the table and sat down with our plates while we continued the discussion of the previous night. So much more was coming back now that we were talking about it. Sandy said, "I thought I was in the Ramayana at one point. At first, I was Hanuman, but when I returned for Sita, I was Rama." Rick asked him, "Do you remember why you changed from Hanuman to Rama?" Sandy replied, "No," and Rick told him, "Because Cheesy told you all the other monkeys were throwing their poop at you." And we all laughed. "Then you had a dance contest with only yourself and were so happy when you won." Sandy added, "And I was second also." And Rick laughed, "Oh yeah, first time ever someone finished first and second in the same dance contest. I forgot. That's how good you were." I said, "I kept hearing Ian say, I can't follow that logic. That doesn't make sense." And Ian replied, "I didn't know that if a Scrabble word went off the board it was worth double points." And both Marius and Marian laughed. Rick said, "Post-nasal drip," and everyone burst out in laughter for some reason and started repeating it. He told us that we repeated it and laughed for almost half an hour the previous night. I asked Dr. Ben if he felt tired this morning, and when he asked me why, I told him, "You were lying on the blue hall rug and swimming upstream trying to catch fish that were too fast for you. Then you decided to turn around and swim downstream so that you could catch them coming head on at you. Cheesy was coaching you until you got hit by a couple of big ones right in the face. And that's when I thought Cheesy was going to lose it, he was laughing so hard. Broke my damn glasses." Ben exclaimed and pointed to the tape holding him together. Rick added, "Now you look just like you did in your high school prom picture." Marius added, "At one point, colors were shades of pastels, but they were backlit. Faces were backlit and pimples and blackheads were 3D. Chin hair was scaring me at one point, yuck. I thought it was a mark of evil." Ian told us, I remember spending hours connecting stars into new constellations. I think I had about 50 new constellations before I started running out of names and trying to find the best design in the sky. Rick said, I read all of Sir Malcolm's entries from his mushroom experiences. He spoke almost every time about seeing ring-tailed creatures, but there are no lemurs in India or outside of Madagascar. In several sessions, he actually spoke to the creatures and interacted with them, addressing them directly. One he referred to as Bert. They spoke of the lost city of Limpodo and the treasure of Mabu. It's a mystery what they were because they had tails and Indian monkeys don't have such tails.
Bloody hell. Jesus, Murphy.